Good morning, everyone. You are listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. This is the new streaming network.com. We are actually home of Going Solo and Going Bold, and this show is called Going Solo Life After Relationship Loss. I am Cece Shatz. I'm your host here today. And I just want to, those of you who don't know me, I am fondly called the Doyenne of relationship building. I'm a divorce, dating, and a life coach connecting singles throughout the Going Solo Network. So you can find my website, GoingSoloNetwork.com, and check out all that I do. Just before we start the show, I like to give you my information. I'd love to hear from you. So you can email me at GoingSoloNetwork@gmail.com. I personally read all of your emails and answer them directly and love every minute of it. So I want to thank you guys that do reach out to me and share. I do appreciate it. But let's move on to our topic because we've got a lot happening today. We're talking about bridging tomorrow's relationship, reality focused. Isn't that the truth? So often we think about building a relationship after relationship loss, and we become extremely overwhelmed with that. So I think that we have to stay reality focused. And our guest here today, Mark, is going to do that. Mark Entrekin, if I'm saying his name correctly, he is a coach, consultant, and professional speaker. He will share his expertise in building strong, future-focused relationships while navigating the challenges of today. This conversation will provide a valuable guidance in creating meaningful connections and fostering growth after relationship loss. So let's get right on to it. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show.
Hello, Cece. How are you today?
Oh, it is great having you. It is
Thank you.
absolutely a thrill because I know you are a consultant, a professional speaker. You've been dealing with relationship building as I have for many, many years. And it is just such an honor to have you here on the show because it is so needed. So thank you so much.
Cece, like I've told you before, all of the things that you do for people that are single and that have been through divorce, sometimes they're not so bad, sometimes they're pretty challenging. But what you're doing to help people rebuild, I think is just outstanding. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you for that. Thank you. And you do the same. So tell us a little bit how you got into this, because this is kind of a specialty field. And so tell us a little bit about your background and what made you really want to reach out and help people like you do.
Well, thank you. I have been in information technology, IT, since college. And I worked through college. I took a COBOL programming class, and they needed COBOL programmers in the workforce. So I jumped out in there and got right into the digging into the programming aura and learned more and more about computers, and they just grew so fast. And then it was COBOL and PL1 and CSS and all these acronyms in IT, information technology. And it's been great. It was very financially beneficial, but took me away from people, and I love
Mhm.
people. So a few years ago, I just got to the point where it was changing, continually changing so fast with what we're doing computers, and it's the same thing now. Program here, program there. All of these websites that we have, do they work together? Do they not? And I said, no, I want to get back to what I enjoy most, not just what makes me a financial income, but actually getting out and helping people. So I still coach and consult and speak on what's called agile. It is a iterative process. It's an agile framework, iterative process of breaking things down to the minimum viable product or service. I still coach on that, I still teach on that, I still consult on that. But my joy is helping people that have gone through divorces. They have custody issues, they're rebuilding their lives, and sometimes we don't know how, as I didn't. I went through a horrendous divorce back in the days of the quote unquote deadbeat dad. And it was about one person that created an aura because he won the lottery, didn't give anything to his children, didn't give anything to his ex spouse, and the news just bit into it. And that's one of the things we need to be reality focused on is our media does not focus on what is better or what is right. So I have started a process called Achieving Unity through the power of caring, helping, and including others. Too many times our media pulls up one situation, one person, and just blows it out of the water, and 90+% of the times it's negative. They bring out the negative on the issues. We watch all of our social media. How many times somebody's got a problem here or a problem there? Well, the reality focus is just like what you're doing.
Mhm.
Going solo, life after relationship, doesn't have to be a loss, but it can be a rebuilding if we know what we can do and what we want to do in that next step.
I love that. I so love that. I mean, because I've been doing this for years, and my whole thing has been about relationship building. And so understanding that when you come from a relationship loss of some sort, you're having to rebuild your life again. And so you have to start rebuilding your friends, start rebuilding it the way you want to do it. And so you've got, a life of your choice, which is awesome when you get your head around that. And
It,
so I lead up one of our, I think one of our successful single groups here in the Tampa Bay area. We've got like over 3,000 people in it, and
that's
that's really
great.
what we do. I mean, we've got absolutely wonderful men within our group, very active ladies. It's really great, but it's all about building relationships. So it's not about like the thing it's called the group is called Singles Want to Date 40s through 70ish, right? I had to bump up the age because my age is getting there a little bit, so we had to bump up the age. But the reality is these individuals are really looking not only to date, but they're looking to build friendships and relationships with people, and that's where it starts. When you're starting to build, a partnership with someone, you start at the friendship level, don't you?
You need to. That's one of the things that we seem to forget in the process.
Mhm.
And if I could just touch back on what you mentioned earlier, in a divorce, sometimes it seems like you need to reinvent your friends or find new friends. Well, I work with several divorced couples who thought that same thing, but I have multiple domains that go to my website. But besides realityfocus.com, I go to one out there that's called What the Frustration. And too many people get frustrated in the process, and we haven't taught them. It's not our job to teach them, but we weren't taught going through school that a divorce doesn't divide friendships. Where's the value? Another, where's the value.com?
Mhm.
Where is the value in losing a friendship? And I've worked with several couples who have had that situation where there's even a family member that they were close to, but because of this divorce, they feel they can't be friends anymore. That is not true. The divorce is for a reason, or maybe a couple of reasons, but we need to work on what those reasons are and not destroy friendships. I've worked with several couples who have actually brought themselves back together once they understood what I teach on hate, anger, and prejudice. It's called ending. It's the EHAP, ending hate, anger, and prejudice. Because too many times the reason for the divorce is because of what someone else has theoretically fed us about information. Sure, there's things we don't like. I don't want you eating crackers in my bed, and I'm sure you don't want me eating crackers in yours. But the bottom line, the crackers aren't the problem.
Right.
It's communication and collaboration. And
Mhm.
for us to talk about that in a way that is mature, not insecure. We want to
Mhm.
be able to talk to each other and what is good, what is not good, and how many times do we do things just because, oh, it doesn't matter, when actually it does matter. And we need to discuss that with each other. We need to share that with each other without talking to those other friends first, but talk to each other because those other friends, no matter how good they can be, our friends side with us. But we also need to talk to our partner, our relationship. I go through, you've probably heard of prenuptial agreements. I
Right.
also go with one called prenuptial agreements, nuptial not required. You don't have to get married to have an agreement. And
Mhm.
it's not as much about the agreement and the theoretical signs. You don't have to sign it. We suggest it. I suggest it. But just to go through what ideas and concepts you will have in that relationship that many people don't think about ahead of time.
Mhm.
That's the same thing we go through divorce. Who plans for divorce? Well, I'm getting married, so here's what my divorce plans are. No, we don't want that. We want to live a life together, But like what you do, Cece, you're talking to people, helping them rebuild. I help them even from the very beginning. When they start a relationship or start a marriage, we have thoughts, we have ideas, we have rumors. It's one of those situations where we have perceptions, but those perceptions may be off base. Not that anybody's wrong, or not that they aren't very, very intelligent, but sometimes our culture, our learning, builds a foundation inside our mind that isn't necessarily reality. So that's what I help people come across and say, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about finance? Are you going to share income? What do you think about your sex life? Is it good now? How do you expect it to be good later? Do you expect it to improve? Bring these kind of questions out to them and let them start thinking about it when they just think before, oh, it'll be okay. That's
Hmm.
not a problem. When we start digging a little bit deeper, we found out that it's not a problem, but there may be some differences in our thought process of how things should work.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think there is differences because men and women think totally different from each other. And I realized that. Also, when you were talking, I was thinking about like my own life, and back when, years ago when I did get married, we didn't talk about those kind of things. We didn't talk about, our finances or whatever. All we talked about is that we were in love and that we wanted to be together and you build a family and all of that kind of thing. We never even
Everything will work out.
Yeah, we never talked about any of the difficulties. And now that we're older, right, we're stepping forward into, building our lives again. We have those rose colored glasses off, right? We're
Mhm.
knowing now that not everything is what we can't just always hope that it will work itself out. So I like the idea of building something like coming together and talking about these issues, writing it down, making maybe a soul contract, together and understanding some of the issues that tend to pull us apart versus putting us together. So yeah.
It's true, and it's sometimes it's not just a factual thing, but how do you feel about this? What would you do in this situation? And the better part, what would you expect your partner to do in
Mhm.
these situations? And that just seems to open up our eyes so much more, right?
Right, right, absolutely. Like for instance, I know I was talking with someone about, I like to decorate the house and whatever, and I said, okay, so that's my job. I'm going to decorate, and he said, well, no, wait a minute. I think I should have a part of that. I said, okay, I'll give you one room.
There you go.
Compromising.
Wait a minute. One room?
So I would write that down. But yeah, no, I totally get it. Well, I also want to share with the audience before we do go on our break here is that you do have a course. You have a course about, I'm just going to put it up here so that people can read it too. It's a course on achieving unity by sharing the power of caring, helping, and including others as we end anger, hate, prejudice, personally and professionally. So I think that's what you do with regards to your, professionally speaking and your consultant work, and you've developed a course on this. So tell us just a little bit about that course.
Sounds great, and thank you so much. The course starts on October 8th. We'll open it up on September 1 to be able to start purchasing the process. And what we want to talk about here is the point of the power. And the reason I put power there is too many people think that caring, helping, and including others is very soft. It's like, well, we don't do that. Men don't do that. That's a woman's job. No, it's not. Men have been, and I'll talk more about the gender in a few minutes, but too many times we have been raised as the male counterpart that there's certain macho things that we do that are just not true. So achieving unity by sharing the power of caring, helping, and including others is about us being strong in caring and helping others grow stronger, not taking care of them, but helping them grow stronger in what they do and where they go. That's the process. That's where helping comes in. We want to be able to help others understand and build, not take them on as another child by any means or as a some kind of welfare program, but helping them learn. Because one thing that we don't see, I think you see it, but through your programs, too many times we don't see what another person doesn't know. How many times have you talked to your spouse or a family member and they think, or especially at work, they think that the people they talk to knows everything that they know
Mhm.
and they don't explain it. So that's what helping's about. And then including others. How many times are we theoretically afraid of talking to other people? We are maybe a little bit insecure about what we should say, what we shouldn't say. People that are maybe of a different color. One of my quotes is red, yellow, black, brown, or white. We need to be professional in each other's sight. That's one thing we don't think about because I talk about blood types. And let me know here when you before we go to commercial. But we have 4 blood types in this world: A, B, AB, and O. It doesn't matter where you go. United States, Russia, Scandinavia,
Mhm.
Antarctica. We all have one of those 4 blood types, and we need those if we ever go to the hospital because of a cut, car accident, get our tonsils out. We need that blood and we need to share that blood. But the bottom line is we are all the same, no matter what color we are, no matter what gender we are, no matter how old we are. And people don't realize that in too many ways. And as we learn that, we can start ending that anger between one another because, again, where is the value? Hate, the same thing. Having advanced troubled expectations. I have quotes for all of these. And prejudice, where prejudice is today, where we need to take it tomorrow.
Mhm.
Why is color even brought into the equation? That's what we need to do to build out of those ideas and start building together personally and professionally, meaning at home, in the community, city, state, everywhere, federally, that we can work together if we get beyond all of those other issues.
I agree with all of that. I absolutely agree with that. Um, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come, we're going to talk about a little bit more about that. How can we move forward, really building tomorrow's relationships, really focused today, which is what our topic is today. And I think this is a lot. We can cover a lot here. We probably won't have enough time to cover all that we want to cover. I know, because it's such a broad, it's a broad and very important subject. So we are going to be talking about this for quite some time. But I love all that you do and everything that you stand for, and it's just wonderful having you on the show here, Mark, with us. So I do appreciate you and your time. So we're going to take a quick break. So you
Thank you,
guys are
Cece.
listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You are listening to the newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Bold and Going Solo. This show is called Going Solo: Life After Relationship Loss. Today we have our wonderful guest here with us, and we're talking about bridging tomorrow's relationships today, reality focused. And if you missed the first part of the show, it's a very important part. And so you want to go back and definitely listen to that. And it's, we're talking about really rebuilding yourself, but also touching, and I think Mark touched on, also, trying to establish a relationship with your ex so that as you move forward in life, you still can continue on with friendships, and your children will feel a little bit more at ease and things like that if you can come out to some sort of meeting of the minds, so to speak. So let's talk a little bit about being reality focused. So Mark, you want to take it over?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Cece, I appreciate again what you're doing because the reality focus is something that we're missing in too many ways. We have perceptions based on what we see on TV, what we hear on TV. Sometimes it's our social media, sometimes it's our friends, sometimes it's our family. I think many of us have heard that we are most like our 5 closest friends. For some, it may be the 3 closest friends, sometimes maybe the 10 closest friends. But the bottom line is we have to think about the reality of who we are and where we are and what is the basis for our foundation in life. When we get married, for example, how many of us go through marriage classes? I know when my ex-wife was having had our 2 children, I was in all the classes. I couldn't wait to get to those classes.
Mhm.
But similar to what I talked about earlier, when we talk about caring, helping, and including others, how many people look at that as, especially on the male side, the macho side, how many people feel that that was something they were brought up to do? In my generation, it wasn't that much. Today's generation, as we talk about looking at tomorrow, what we want to see more of is that both parents are included in the process. When we get into a relationship, we want both parties to be able to come together and say, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? So in all the things that we're talking about today, and I could just jump on this, as you mentioned earlier, this is easily a 4-hour workshop. And we want to talk about how we can come together in marriages, in divorces, in relationships. What is it that we want? What are our perspectives? What do we think we're going to see in tomorrow's journey? It's a journey we start today, but as we travel forward, what do we think we're going to see, and what is the reality of what we do see?
That is so important. And that is, I mean, that I will say that is a mouthful because that is the hardest thing when we're getting, moving forward after relationship loss. We're often thinking about how difficult, our life is and what we thought our life was, right? And so
Hmm.
it does shock us when we look at where we're at, thinking that, we had this plan for our future. And now all of a sudden the plan is taken, a detour. And now where are we going? And so it's so important that when we're starting to move forward in our lives, that we do have these considerations about what type of life we do want to live. And I love the idea about what you said about your 5 closest friends, that you're like, what'd you say? You're like your 5 closest
Matches.
friends.
Your
And so
matches.
I never heard that before. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking about my friends who are awesome. And I'm thinking, hey, that's pretty great. So,
And it is for most people, but it's one of those situations where walking into a crowd, for example, or
mhm,
if you're going into a conference alone, you don't know anyone. Who do you go up and talk with? And it's something that we need to work on because we need to include others and have others include us. Because as we say, as you're talking about, the more friends that we have, the better chance we have of selecting others that truly do believe as we do, see ahead of us, looking forward as we see looking forward. And my, I just have a newsletter coming out. I put a newsletter out in my blog on my website on the first and third Thursdays of every month. So I have one coming out this week. And I talk about this and the process of being open to others and how one person can build for a group, a
mhm,
community, a city, a state, and even across America today, across the United States of America today. And I always want to change off saying America because there's North America and South America.
mhm,
Too many times we think of America as the United States, which is not. But all across the United States right now, we have some anger, even from our political candidates, that we need to stop. But we need to make sure and let them know that it needs to stop. We have things going on that one person can do so much. That's what this article talks about. One person just being nice to another one, and that other person says, wow, that was great. This person helped me. Let me start a group. Let me help the community. And then, as I mentioned in this article, how that community can grow to a city.
Mm-hmm.
How many statewide programs do we have in each state? We could take all the things that we're talking about as far as relationship and relationship loss, build it across the state, which then one state does it, they see value. Where's the value? The next state picks it up. Then you have 3 states, and then maybe you have 6, and then 12, and then 24. Then all across the United States of America, we can have what we all truly wanted to begin with. We can quit saying, what the frustration, and we can start building that success by caring, helping, and including others.
Yeah, that's very well said. Very well said. Now, I do know that it takes some time, to learn relationship skills. We are not born with them. And so when you talk about, walking into a room and talking to someone, that could be overwhelming for those, that aren't used to doing something like that. So
Why are we not taught those? Sorry to interrupt you, Cece.
right,
Why are we not taught those?
we're just not. I mean, we're
Why
not
not?
taught that in school. We're taught to sit and listen, right? We're taught when we go to school, well, here we go to school for 12 years and we're told to be quiet, sit down and listen, right? We're not told how to really build ourselves. And so I think this course that you're going to have, I think is definitely, a relationship building course. It certainly helps those be able to understand and maybe shift their mindset, because a lot of times when you're around a lot of people, like you said, your closest friends, your 5 closest friends, if you're around a lot of individuals that are showing anger or have a lifestyle that you're not happy with, or that you don't see yourself in that type of lifestyle, they're doing things and situations that you're not used to or you don't want in your life, you have to shift, right? You have to create a shift in your life, because you have to surround yourself by people that you admire, people that you want to be proud of, and they want to be proud of you, and those kind of things. And so it's all about building relationships with individuals that not only have value, bring value, you give value, those type of things.
And 2 things on that, Cece, you're making a great point. Thank you. But one of the points there is if you're only around average people, what do you think you will be?
Mhm.
Average. If you're around people that challenge you, what do you think you will be? Challenged and ready to grow and learn more and do more. And your friends may change, or your better friends are also going to want to improve with you. And
Mhm.
that's what you want. On the other side of that, we also have that in relationships. And sometimes the relationships is about in-laws or family gatherings, and one of the spouses likes this person, the other spouse doesn't. Why not? Why don't we talk about that more? And again, it's something that we don't learn right away. And I think it's something that you and I teach, but we have to be able to learn about the problem and what is that person doing for us or against us. And we don't want to think about our friends being against us, but that relationship with whoever it might not be a growing relationship for us that someone else might see, or of course someone else might see something wrong which is not there, but that's where that communication and collaboration must be. We must all learn to talk with each other and be caring, helping, and including others. And this is where it all comes about, because we want to help ourselves grow, not just on a perspective that we have, but being reality focused. What does each of these steps mean, and how can we help ourselves and those around us grow forward?
Right. I've often thought that those that come into our lives, they come into our lives for a reason, right? What's that old saying? They come in for a reason, season, or whatever. But we learn something not only from those that come into our lives, but we learn from ourselves. And so when we're with someone, that's important to be able to have. And I think that, your friends need to, like you said, they need to encourage you to grow from within. And my friends are often saying to me, well, what would you say to somebody? It's like, oh no, because I wonder about certain things that happen in my life, and then I have a really good friend, and she always turns it on me and says, well, what would you tell someone if they were going through that? And so the reality is our answers are all from deep within. But if we don't question ourselves and if we don't bring it up, we won't be able to get those answers. And so our path is out there for us, and so we can be guided. So I love the course that you're going to have, and I want to share that again with everyone. The course is called Achieving Unity, and there's nothing better than really being with a positive, inspiring group of individuals, and sharing the power of caring, helping, and including others as we end anger and hate and prejudice, personally, both professionally. So this course, you said, is going to be, it's in
October
October.
8th.
It's going to start September 1st, right? You're going to start
Yep.
registration for that.
Yes.
And how do people get it? Can they get it on your website?
They can. They can go to www.markentrekin.com and go to the contact page and send me information, sign up for my newsletter. And if you don't want to spell Mark Entrekin, you can go out to www.realityfocused.com or www.achievingunity.com. I have multiple paths to my site. You can go out to www.whatthefrustration.com. Because if you're ever frustrated and you ever say that, what the frustration, that's where it comes from. And that's, as we talk about, and I think Cece and I work about the solo life after relationship loss. Let's get beyond those frustrations, because those frustrations can also create that hate, anger, and prejudice that has no value. How many times have you ever seen anyone be angry that you say, ooh, I want to be like them? Not much. Sometimes the anger gets someone to act, but couldn't you have gotten them to act by being polite and professional? Like Cece was saying earlier, when someone says, well, what would you do in that situation? I say, well, tell me more about the situation. Because on a high level, there's a million ways you could go and someone could find something wrong. And that's what we need to stop doing. We need to stop looking for something wrong and say, anytime someone asks something like that, say, tell me more about the situation. Anytime someone has a problem, anytime someone is troubled, anytime someone is frustrated, they're at that what the frustration level, tell me more about the situation. And as we start talking about the situation more ideas come forward. And then we can ask, well, in that situation, what did you do? What would you expect me to do? And when you hear from people about their expectations, you find out more about them and where they are. What is their foundation? If our foundation's not strong, we can't build a structure. We've got to make sure our foundation is strong. So what would you do in that situation?
That's a very good question. Very good question. So those out there, I'd like to be able to spell his last name for you. So you can just go to www, and it's Mark, M-A-R-K, and then his last name is ENTREKIN.com. And if you want to give him a call, you can call his office, which is 303-362-8733. That's 303, and then it's focused, FOCUSED, focused. So make sure that you reach out to him, send him an email, or reach out to him on the website, or give him a call, because I think these are important issues, and we want to rebuild our lives, in a very, a fulfilling way. And we're not going to do that if we're, if we're angry, or if we feel frustrated in life, if we feel all these, all the ups and downs. There are going to be ups and downs in life. That's what creates the beauty of life, right? I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but it's actually a wonderful life in which to live and to share with other people. So you want to build the life that you want of your choosing. And so Mark can definitely help you with that. So take
Thank you,
advantage of
Cece.
his course, which is coming out. You can sign up for it on his website, September 1st, Achieving Unity by Sharing the Power of Caring, Helping, and Including Others as we end anger, hate, and prejudice personally and professionally. And of course, that will definitely be a wonderful thing. So we're going to probably have to wrap up the show here pretty soon. Is there any last words you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, one thing else that you said, Cece, about how life happens. And too many times, as I like to tell people, life is what we make it. So let's make it awesome. If we're sitting at home in front of the TV, guess what? We're not going to meet too many people. If we get out, we go somewhere, check up organizations in the area, go to a meetup. There's 100 things that you can do at any one time. Even though you may be a little bit nervous at first, you got to think, where's the value? What's the value? If you stay at home and watch TV, you're not going to meet your next person. You're not going to meet that nice relationship that you're looking for or expecting. We make life happen. I call it the light life, LITE, LIFE. Life is too easy. Live it fully every day. That's what life is about. If you're not reaching for it, it's not going to come land in your hands automatically. You can't sit on your porch and rock in your chair and eat your donuts and have the life that you're expecting. You've got to get out. We all do. Meet people. Don't be afraid to say no. This is not a good relationship. You're not good for me. But also be able to say, yes, I like the way you think. I like where you're coming from. Let's talk further. And then there may be another one. And you may have 5 people in no time that think the way that you do. But get out, get involved. Your TV is not going to introduce you to anyone that you're going to be able to meet tomorrow. So let's get out and talk to people. Let's call Cece. Find out what she's doing with her relationship shows. Find out what programs are close to you who you can get involved in. Any kind of, even start with phone meetups. Meet people. Get out and do something. Make your life what you want it to be.
Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful advice. It truly is. And I've often thought that why let life control us, right? Let us take the reins and we design the life that we want. And we can only do that if we go out and live it, right? And meet other people and do other things and kind of step out of the box a little bit. Do something that if you think, oh gosh, I'm a little bit scared to do that, then that's when you maybe should think about doing it. Of course, if as long as it's safe, I'm not jumping out of a plane, but you want to do something that's going to be a little bit different out of the norm for you. And so so you want to live life to the fullest. And I love what we're talking about today. We're talking about bridging tomorrow's relationships today, reality focused, and certainly, Mark, you are the man for that. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you,
so
Cece.
much for being on the show here today. I'm very touched to have you. Again, I want to reach out and make sure everyone knows they can just give you a call at 303-362-8733 or check out your website, www.mark, M-A-R-K, his last name is spelled ENTREKIN.com, or you can go to achievingunity.com too.
Correct.
And definitely, sign up for his course because I think it may change your life. Sometimes when we do something totally different, we realize that, we can design the life of our choosing. And so it's a wonderful thing. So thank you again, Mark, so much. We appreciate you.
Cece, it's been an honor being here and talking with you again. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. All right, everyone. If you want to reach me, you can just go to GoingSoloNetwork.com. That's my website, or go to GoingSoloNetwork@gmail.com. That's my email. And I love to get your messages. I answer them personally, and no one else reads them but me. So please go ahead and send them to me. This show here today was Going Solo Life After Relationship Loss. You are on the new streaming network, which is the home of Going Solo Media and Going Bold Media. And of course, we have our radio station, which is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. And we want to thank you all for listening to us. We are on Roku, grew, and last year we hit 6 million. We hope we can do that again this year. We want to thank you so much for listening to us there on that platform. We are very, very touched. So we will catch you next time. I am Cece Shatz, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.